What's going on, everybody? Good evening. We're going to go ahead and get ready to get started in just a moment. And got quite a bit to get to tonight, just a little bit. Will do my best not to hold you long as the Tennessee Titans fall, or shall I say the Tennessee Oilers fall to the Houston Texans 19-16. They fall to 5-9 on the year and are officially out of playoff contention. Pretty much the season is over. And there's a lot I got to say about that. And there's a lot of things I will probably say that people don't want to hear or will not like to hear. But we're going to have a small therapy session, air out some grievances here tonight. And so we're going to get ready to get started in less than 60 seconds.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like
Good evening, Titan Nation. How is everybody?
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing.
Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Hopefully, everybody's getting a little bit better. Welcome into TNT Postgame. I'm your host, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, and we're gonna have a great episode for you on this evening. Definitely make sure you share this show out to everybody. I'm actually doing that right now as we speak, and I am going to be sharing the show out as well to everybody, so that way they know they can come on in and be a part of the show. And we gotta have a little bit of a therapy session. And it's it's kind of one of those you got to come to grips with reality kind of thing. um I know it hurts. I know a lot of you are upset, and I feel for you as a fellow fan. And I know there are probably quite a few of you out there. There's a lot of you out there that probably are not fans of me, because sometimes maybe things I say I'm not positive enough, or um maybe feel that I'm a bit too negative. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit, maybe I feel that maybe I'm a little bit misunderstood when it comes to the Tennessee Titans. And I think I need to preface this by saying that I need everyone to understand that I am a fan of this team. I love this team. I give my all for this team when I do this. When I do my live show, when I do, the post game or the show every Wednesday, because I want this team to succeed. I want this team to win. That is how much I love this team. But at the same time, I have told y'all for a very long time that I am always going to be as honest and truthful as I could be. Now, that doesn't mean that everything I say is going to be right. Everything I say is not going to be 100% on point. I try my best to be. And a lot of times I try to tell, and most of the time, I think I might be pretty correct. Because y'all know that I come and I try to tell you the truth. I don't try to lie to you. I tell you what I think is going down, what's going on, how I feel. Try to gauge in your mind how you feel. And there have been some fans that I've talked to that think that I'm not a real fan anymore, that I talk too negative about the team and things like that. But what I say to those fans is, I love this team just as much as you do, if not more. I've been a fan of this team for almost 30 years of my life. 30 years of my life I've given to this organization since I was a kid. Some of y'all have known the story. From about age 6 to age 12, I was one of the biggest Dallas Cowboy fans in the world. Had the starter jacket, the Emmitt Smith jersey, the hat. I was wearing my starter jacket to school every day. That's how much I had loved the Cowboys at the time. And I'm in a city full of Cowboy and Steeler fans. And being one of the very few Titan fans in the city, it's not exactly an easy job. But also, in being a fan of the Tennessee Titans, and I'm doing this, I have to be objective. I have told everybody many times, if you're looking for a rah fanboy, no matter what happens in life, don't give up on them. They'll turn it around next game, and everything is going to be all right. Stick with Vrabel. He is still good. It doesn't matter that he's 5-16 as a head coach. Who are you going to get to replace him with? If you're looking for a fanboy, this is not the place for you. I'm sorry. And I know some people don't like podcasts because it's like, nothing positive to say. Sorry. And look, I love every last one of y'all. A lot of people out there, we will just have to agree to disagree, and it's cool. I'm not going to show no disrespect. I'm not going to call nobody out of their name, although there are some jerks on Twitter that tried to. But I still say God bless them anyway. Because I'm not going to be the type to get into no scuffle with anybody on Twitter twiddling thumbs. I'm not going to do that. We can sit down face to face and let's have a conversation and let's talk about it. And we're going to get into that in just a bit. Make sure y'all share the show, by the way. Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram. And also make sure you hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell and hit all. But I kind of feel like I need to make this public service announcement because I think there are some people out there on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever, that have taken things I've said on these shows the wrong way. and think that I don't love the team anymore or I don't care. And I'm cheering for them to lose and I, don't want them to win. It is not that I don't want them to win. Of course I want the Titans to win. Of course I want the Titans to do well. But at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, I have been telling you all season to take your blinders off, take your rah-rah fan Titan blinders off, and be realistic with yourself with the product that is on the field. Be realistic with yourself. It is okay to love your team and still say your team sucks. It's okay to admit that. That doesn't mean you love your team any less. That doesn't mean you don't like them, but it also means you see what's happening. So I don't try to offend anybody. I don't try to disrespect anybody, but I am not going to apologize for telling the truth. I'm not the type to change. I'm not going to change how I view things about this team just because we stink right now. You're thinking one the silver line. The silver line is, hey, we might have a high draft pick. So the fact of the matter is, I'm just sorry that there's a lot of fans out there that don't want to understand what is truthfully going on with this football team. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. By the look of this score, wrong one, actually. There we go. Look at that score. 19-16, we fall in overtime to a third string crew. Got my boy B Paid, Blue Fire. And I may not be able to get to everybody's comments, but I'm going to try my best. Rocky, what's up? Rocky boy? Bacardi and Coke, I understand. Miss Jackie, how you doing? Rocky boy, Spurs fan, yeah. It's been tough being a Grizzly fan, too. Although I am glad to see, number one, shout out to the Memphis Tigers finally getting into the top 25. And looking forward to seeing Ja come back and play. I will be watching tomorrow night. Titan Hugo said, did you see the smile on Tannehill once Levis was in pain, thinking he had his job back? Well, I mean, Tannehill might be starting. Like Lou Man, hit that smash button. Pinball said, nothing wrong with telling the truth. Titan Hugo said, no, you ain't talking negative. You speaking reality. Same stuff I get when I say this team trash, but they want to say I'm not a fan. Titan says, time to grab some whiskey, patiently waiting for the offseason. Hope Brand is able to clean up the mess. We got to see. Levis got bent backwards on that tackle. We're lucky to walk away. I agree. A loyal to Houston. Good game. Hey, Texans, y'all won. Congratulations. D'Amico Ryans, I think he may turn out to be a pretty good coach. I agree. I would sit out Levis rest of the year. The L hurts. Truth speak it. I'm trying. Yep. Tiered Pop-Tart got claimed by Houston today. I did see that. So let's get with it. We lost to the Texans 19-16. So let's begin this therapy session with the obvious. The Tennessee Titans are out of the playoffs. Earliest that they've ever been eliminated in the Mike Vrabel era. Back-to-back seasons, back-to-back losing seasons. We're guaranteed that. With 9 losses, we are guaranteed another losing season. which means, and we'll get to Mike Vrabel at the end in just a bit. But that means that Mike Vrabel in the last 2 years is 12-16. I'm sorry, scratch that. 12-19 in the last 2 years. 12-19 in the last 21 since the Green Bay game. 5-16 in 21 games since the Green Bay game. 5-16. And I looked up some stats that's going to be crazy about another coach who recently got fired from his job, and Brandon Staley. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. What went wrong with this game? We see, everybody in the Oiler gear. Mike Vrabel walks in with the Bum Phillips cowboy hat. Big Jeff, even though he wasn't playing, walked in with the full cowboy suit on. And I tried to tell everybody, I tried to tell all of you, and I know this might sound blasphemous, but what did I say about the Miami game? Winning that Miami game was the worst thing that could have happened with this game coming up. Why I say that? I know that sounds crazy. Like, Truth, why was it bad that you won a game? 2 reasons. A, if you're 4-10 at this point, you're picking 4th in the draft right now. You got a chance to get in the top 3. But we're not talking about that. Main thing is, a bunch of y'all Titan fans out there got filled up after that Miami win. Yeah, I heard some of y'all Titan fans started to strut, kind of, sticking your chest out and was starting to strut your stuff a little bit. Yeah, we 5-8. We back in it. We finna run the table, y'all. We finna run the table. We finna get in the playoffs. I saw some of that on Facebook, on Twitter. I saw some of y'all flexing your chest. Talking about, yeah, what you got to say about Vrabel now? That dude good. He a good coach. And some of y'all, along with the Titans, started feeling yourselves. Y'all started feeling yourselves a little bit. Y'all thought, well, we're back in it. All we got to do, if we beat these Texans, and a lot of y'all was overconfident because y'all heard CJ Stroud was out and all these guys was out. Y'all just thought it was going to be an easy win. And early on, it looked like it. Early on, the Titans started off good. Got off to a good start, opening drive. They drive down the field good. They got help with the penalty, went for it on 4th and 1 early in the drive. Got a free play, deep bomb down to Nick Westbrook-Akine. Will Levis gets his first career rushing touchdown. And everything looks great. Everything seems to be A-OK. Then, Case Keenum throws the pick 6 to Elijah Molden, gets it to the end zone, 13-0. Everybody like, oh, man, we looking good. We finna win this game. We finna take care of business. We finna blow them out. But then y'all forgot there's still 3 quarters left to play. Some of y'all forgot there was still 4 quarters of football. In this case, 5. Got a little ahead of yourself. And then the Texans just slowly started creeping back up. Some of y'all were listening to my live stream. And I said, them points starting to add up. Houston slowly getting back in the game. And that was what was going on. Paul said, I'm still hurt, not gonna lie, I cry. I get it. I understand. I understand. When we lost to Cincinnati in that playoff game, I cried too. I'm not even gonna lie. I cried. My body was numb. I didn't want to go anywhere. I went, got something to eat. I sat in my hotel room on a Saturday night in Nashville when I could have went out. I could have partied hard. I could have went out. I could have just wilded out. But because of what happened, I'm sitting in my room like this. Body was all numb. I didn't know how to move. I was so hurt. And Miss Bibbs said, I'm done till next year. And Miss Bibbs, I love you. But I told y'all not to get your blood pressures up. I told y'all to watch with an open mind. Do not get all upset if we lose. And, give a good golf clap when they win. I told y'all that. I told some of y'all that. But I'm like, eventually, some of you are going to learn that you can listen to me, that you can trust some of the things I'm telling you. And a lot of people out there will say, well, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know nothing on that. I'm like, I've been a fan of this team for over 30 years. I play football. I study. I'm not a great expert. I'm still trying to study. But that's why if the Titans win, I don't get too high. If the Titans lose, I don't lose my blood pressure. The only time I lose my blood pressure is when some Titan fans just come up with some of this stupid stuff that they want to say, thinking that it's real. It's not Vrabel's fault. We'll blame everything else. Now that's what really upsets me. But anyway, back to the game. Started off good offensively. You get the pick six. And then Houston starts creeping back into the game, slowly but surely. And people be thinking, yeah, why you keep getting field goal? Them field goals add up. It was 13-0. Then it was 13-3, 13-6, 13-9. Then you go up 16-9. Then you go up 16-9 after another field goal. Then the Texans score and tie the game. And as soon as the Texans came back and tied that game, I already had a feeling. I'm like, the Texans finna come back and win this. As it got to 16, when it got to 16-9, and then when it really got to 16-all, I'm like, the Houston Texans finna come back and win this game. They are. They finna come back and win. I felt it. Then when we got to overtime, and we didn't score on the first possession, I'm like, yep, Texas finna win. Texas finna find a way to win. But I also said during the live stream, when Nick Folk missed that first extra point, I said, I hope to God that extra point don't come back to bite us. And it did. It did. And then you lose in overtime to Case Keenum, a team with no starting quarterback, no right tackle. I believe their center was hurt. You give up 100-plus yards to Devin Singletary, who at best is a backup running back. Noah Brown has turned into a pretty decent player. And then on the other side, you basically let their defensive line bully you. And it leads to a lot of problems. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Will Levis. Not a great game for him. 17 of 26, 199 yards. He got the rushing touchdown, threw an interception, a bad interception, by the way, because he tried to go to D-Hop, and Burks was getting wide open. If Levis just, before he threw that ball, sees Burks, he could have just threw it up there, and that's a touchdown to Burks. But Levis seemed off with DeAndre Hopkins a lot this game. And, you know, it just wasn't a good game. I don't know if it was his worst game, but he didn't completely look like himself. And, I mean, he has a couple of tough runs, but I was nervous. I'm like, you got to learn how to slide. And then, unfortunately, you know, in overtime, the one thing you did not want to see, Levis down and hurt. I see Levis down, I'm like, oh no. That is the one player on your team you cannot afford to lose. And so thank God it appears per Ian Rappaport that it looked like it's just an ankle sprain. We don't know if it's a low or high ankle sprain, but it looked a lot worse. It looked a lot worse than it turned out to be. And I get it, Reggie B. Yeah, they're going to be bragging on this one for a long time. Williams says, hard reality is, tight fans, we got Vrabel for one more year until he's fired because Amy loves Vrabel. So another year, 2024, loses season until we get a better coach. You know, and I'm going to get to that in just a bit. I'm highlighting that because I'm going to get back to that. But then you got to also look at the offensive line. The offensive line was atrocious today. Jalen Duncan looked worse than a 6th-round pick. He looked just as bad as Andre Dillard. He did. He looked awful. Gave up 3 sacks. He looked overpowered. Peter Skoronski probably had his worst game as a Titan. And again, as much as I'm cool with my guy Jared, of course, he's gonna be mad saying, well, you drafted the 11th pick, you drafted a guard. Like, he just harps on that. Just like he harps on Corey Davis being the 5th pick in the draft and Dylan Radins being a 2nd-round pick. He harps on that hard. But I said again, and he was an All-American left tackle, and he got put at guard. Probably not the best decision. Aaron Brewer is Aaron Brewer. I mean, I don't really have much to say. Aaron Brewer, I think, stinks as a center. Brunskill was in and out. And then Dylan Radins, I mean, I must admit, I kind of didn't notice him. But he's on the offensive line. So, again, the offense was a train wreck. Offensive line. Gave Derrick Henry absolutely zero room to operate. 16 carries for 9 yards. That is his absolute worst game as a Tennessee Titan. His worst. Levis sacked 7 times. This offensive line. And we thought this offensive line was worse than last year. I mean, we like, could the offensive line ever be as worse as last year? Yeah, it kind of can be. On a whole, I think we've given up over 50 sacks. Levis has been sacked 27 times in 8 games. 17th in the league. And that's compared to guys that have played 14 games. He's getting sacked. So the offensive line is terrible. It needs to be completely revamped. Vrabel refused to do it. Derrick Henry is even thinking to himself, is this it for me? Like he commented in the press conference, and he basically said, I've given some time to reflect, that this could be it. Like Derrick Henry is thinking this could be his last 3 games as a Tennessee Titan. And I hope he goes out on a much higher note than that last game. And then you try to get Burks involved early, and then you went away from him. You don't continue to go to a 3 catches, 62 yards. I'm like, you keep going to him. 2 catches on 9 targets for D-Hop. I mean, again, Levis even said it seemed like, that they were off a little bit. Chig was kind of in and out because he kind of got hurt on the play. But this offense needs to be completely revamped. It's time for a new philosophy. And Tim Kelly did not call a great game. 24 first down runs. 24 first down plays. And I'm trying to see if I can. I'm trying to see if I can find this graphic that they put up. I don't know if they put it up. But, it was a good graphic that Austin put up. He showed all of the first down. He showed a number of all. There it is. I got it. So there were 24 first down plays called. 24 first down plays called. I'm going to actually I'm going to bring it up for y'all on the screen. This is courtesy of A to Z Sports. A to Z Sports, I know some of y'all ain't a fan of A to Z Sports, but it's a pretty good number. Here it is. 24 first down plays were ran. 24. You gained 32 yards total. 12 times you ran Derrick Henry on first down. So half of your first down plays were Derrick Henry runs. But you call 15 runs total. That means Spears too. 15 total runs called for -2 yards. 15 total runs called, -2 yards. 9 pass plays got you 34 yards. 15 times Derrick Henry touched the ball. So that means there were 3 passes thrown to him on first down as well. That is on first down. Does that remind you of anything? It reminded me of Todd Downing in the Jacksonville game last year. Just kept running it left, running it right, and you're running right into the meat of the defense where they're just waiting on you. And I believe out of all those runs, out of 16 carries, 9 times he was hitting the backfield before he could even get going. Hey, I'm checked out too. I'm just sitting watching. But you run all those times on first down and it doesn't work and you don't choose to go away from it a little bit. How about passing the ball a little bit more on first down? How about passing the ball on first down? You want to set up the play action. Everybody, it seems Vrabel is so hell-bent on using the run to set up the pass. How about using the pass to set up the run? There's an idea. But yet, I don't know anything about football, do I? And so all of that happening on first down, and so it keeps putting you in second and long, and then you're getting into 3rd and 8 and more. And you get into those situations where it does get Levis hurt. And that's the thing about that. And I think this offensive philosophy needs to change. But we'll get on to more of that in a minute. But the offense was not great. Defensively, I thought pressure was being put on pretty good. Danico Autry had a heck of a game, a couple of sacks. But the run defense definitely showed they missed Big Jeff and Tier Tart. Devin Singletary gashed them 26 carries, 121 yards. And if it wasn't for a holding call, you would have added 34 more onto that. It would have been 155 yards and the game-winning touchdown if they hadn't called it back. Noah Brown ate you alive. 8 for 82 in the score. And Dalton Schultz made some big-time catches. One in particular, Roger McCreary was right there for the interception. Had the ball in his hands. And Dalton Schultz basically took it away from him. And I believe there were 2 instances where Roger McCreary had an interception and just couldn't hold on. Eric Guerra had one too. Eric Guerra got on the out route, went right through his hands. But you got ran on. Azeez Al-Shire, even though he's a tackling machine, is not necessarily a good thing. You know, I mean, other than the Elijah Molden pick, I really didn't see nothing impressive with the secondary. Trey Avery, that pass interference call was ridiculous. The officiating wasn't all that great either. One positive note, though, Ty Zentner wasn't that bad at punting the football, and Mason Kinsey did pretty well at punt return. Should have gotten that penalty for that hit out of bounds. But all in all, it wasn't a good day. Nick Folk mixes an extra point. He done missed 2 extra points in games at home that probably cost you the game. But I'm not finna blame Nick Folk, because Nick Folk has pretty much been money pretty much all year. So the offense was bad. Run defense was bad. But I'm not going to completely blame the defense for all of it, because they held Houston up as long as they could. You would think holding a team to 16, 19 points is enough to win a game. Not for this team. And let's get to the heart of the matter, where y'all need to understand something, and it is plain and simple. This game falls on the feet of coaching. Coaching malpractice cost us this football game. And I know A lot of y'all want to say, well, we ain't got no talent. We ain't got no talent. You can't blame Vrabel for this. This was Tim Kelly's fault. Fire Tim Kelly. Okay. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Tim Kelly, yeah, didn't call the greatest game of all. But Tim Kelly has had some good moments. And he's the type of guy, he likes to throw the ball a little bit more. And I do think in a lot of ways, Tim Kelly is hamstrung and handcuffed by Mike Vrabel. And what he could have done last year is fire Todd Downing and let Tim Kelly have a tryout for those last 7 games we lost. We could have given Tim Kelly a look. But instead, Mike Vrabel promoted from within as usual. But I don't solely put this whole thing on Tim Kelly either. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. Yes, I do think Jason Howlerling, the offensive line coach, should be fired. And as of right now, nothing's been done. No news of any firings or any changes. And I don't expect that there will be any news because we know how Vrabel is. He is perfectly fine with the status quo. But I don't put this loss straight on Tim Kelly either. Tim Kelly is part of it. Tim Kelly was part of the problem. Offensive line, part of the problem. If you want to look at what the real problem is, and I know for a lot of you Titan fans, y'all are going to disagree and be like, this is blasphemy. But again, I'm here to tell you the truth. This game falls solely on the feet of Mike Vrabel, the head coach. Who is the head coach? The head coach is the leader of the entire football team. The definition of a head coach of a coach is one who instructs players in the fundamentals of a sport and directs team strategy. Let me say that one more time. The definition of a coach is one who trains, is one who instructs players in the fundamentals of a sport and directs team strategy. Wikipedia, a professional at training and developing athletes. And so I had this conversation with someone basically saying, well, if Vrabel is over everything, why do you need an offensive and defensive coordinator? Yes, you have an offensive coordinator who is over the offense. You have a defensive coordinator who is over the defense. The head coach supervises all of that. The players play under Tim Kelly. Tim Kelly coaches under Mike Vrabel. Shane Bowen coaches the defense. Mike Vrabel supervises Tim Kelly. Y'all remember the movie Remember the Titans? And Coach Boone, Denzel Washington's character, Coach Boone, brings Coach Yost in to help him. Coach Yost was supposed to get the job. They gave it to Coach Boone. So he was reluctant to be on staff. And Coach Yost basically said, okay, you brought me in. Let me run the defense. And Coach Boone, who is the head coach, says, yes, you run the defense as part of my team strategy. I've never heard of an assistant coach in the papers for losing a game. So again, Tim Kelly, yeah, he deserves some blame, but he was doing it under Vrabel's strategy. So yes, at the end of the day, Mike Vrabel is at fault. This is Mike Vrabel's fault. As much as a lot of you out there don't want to listen to that, and you just think Mike Vrabel's such a great coach. He's the best coach we've ever had. How many Super Bowls has Mike Vrabel won? Better yet, how many Super Bowls has he been to? How many AFC championships has Mike Vrabel won? It's a rhetorical question because the answer is easy to all of that. Zero. Jeff Fisher went to a Super Bowl, won an AFC championship, went to another AFC championship, won for some special teams mess-ups, maybe had a shot at winning that one too. But yet nobody wants to put the blame on Vrabel. Y'all want some more numbers? Okay. There was a recent head coach who got fired by the name of Brandon Staley. Now, Brandon Staley was hired to be the head coach back in 2021 of the Los Angeles Chargers. At this point in time, Justin Herbert was already on the team. Joey Bosa was already on the team. And I believe they had just went and got Khalil Mack. And I'm going to look that up to confirm. And you also got Derwin James. So the fact of the matter is, Brandon Staley got a pretty nice team. Now, Khalil Mack came in the last 2 years under Staley. He inherited a pretty decent up-and-coming team. Went 9-8 in his first year, just missed the playoffs, losing to the Raiders. Went 10-7, got to the playoffs, of course, lost that game where they were dominating the Jags, and the Jags came back and beat them at 10-7. And then they fired him after being 5-9, after giving up 61 points to the Raiders. Brandon Staley, in 2.5 years, was 24-24. That was his record. 24 wins, 24 losses. Went 9-8 his first year. Second year, improved by a game and got to the playoffs. And then went 5-9, got fired. After 2.5 years, and had 2 winning records. Never had a losing season, but everybody wanted him out. So yeah, 9-8, 24-24 in less than 3 years. And got fired. Let that sink in for a second. 24-24 in 2.5 years got fired. Vrabel in 2 years so far is 12-19. And if you add losing the last 3 games, which could definitely happen, you're looking at 12-22 in 2 years. But yet everybody says, give Vrabel another season. And we still haven't won a division game yet. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen either. So you look at Brandon Staley, who everybody wanted out, and he had a decent team. He was a coach, not a good coach, but had a good team around him. A lot of y'all keep saying, well, we don't have a roster. We don't have the talent. Mike Vrabel inherited a playoff roster. He didn't have to build from the ground up. And if I remember correctly, I'm looking at the Chargers' last record under Anthony Lynn. I'm trying to see if I can find record under Anthony Lynn. Okay. So before Lynn got fired, Lynn had 12-4. Then they went, Anthony Lynn went 9-7 his first season, 12-4, lost in the division, but then had back-to-back losing seasons, got fired. 5-11, 7-9. So Staley comes in, improves by 2, then improves by 1, and got fired the next season. But yet, Mike Vrabel kind of doing the same thing, but yet, he's not at fault at all. Nobody wants to blame him. Some of y'all Titan fans are so messed up and so naive, you will blame everything and everyone else before you even look at Vrabel. You'll be like, it's the offensive line's fault, which is part of the problem. Oh, it's Tannehill's fault. He got benched. It's John Robinson's fault. He got fired. Fire Shane Bowen. Probably going to happen at the end of the year, maybe. Oh, it's Craig Ackerman's fault for special teams. You fired him already. It's Miss Amy Adams-Strong's fault. Well, she hasn't really said anything yet, and she gave Vrabel extra power. Oh, it's Red Carthon's fault. He's only in his first year. So who else could it be on? You're looking at everything else but the grand architect of all of this. Mike Vrabel put this offensive line together. No matter how you try to say he didn't, Mike Vrabel lost 7 in a row. And what did Miss Amy do to reward that mediocrity? She gave him more power. She gave him more power. Fire Todd, and another thing, you fired Todd Downing and Keith Carter. You had issues with the offense and the offensive line last year. Okay, so you got rid of them. Promoted Tim Kelly, you promoted Jason Houderling. And what are the problems still? Offensive play calling and offensive line. Yet again. 2 different offensive line coaches, 2 different coordinators, but everything still looks the same. Well, don't you think there's a problem? And don't you think there's a problem with the guy who put them in those positions? So you're not going to look at the guy who hired them in those positions? Tim Kelly is handcuffed, playing to Mike Vrabel's strategy. And that's what's holding this team back. Mike Vrabel said in the press conference when Rand got hired, they were not trying to rebuild, even though they should have. They could have gotten something for Tannehill, gotten something for Henry. But instead, nah, He was like, we're good. We're just going to reload and we're going to run it back one more time because I believe we can make the playoffs. Mike Vrabel lied to all of you. He sold you false hope, and a lot of you bought it hook, line, and sinker. And probably to a lesser extent, once DeAndre Hopkins came aboard, okay, I'll admit, maybe I bought a little bit of it too. I bought a little bit of it. But at the same time, it just seems that Mike Vrabel don't want to hold himself accountable, but will look at everybody else. And it is time for Miss Amy to hold him accountable. It's time to let Rand do his thing. But there is a problem with that. Williams said it. It looks like we might be stuck with Vrabel for one more year because Miss Amy loves Mike Vrabel. And so we might be stuck with him. Phillip comes in and said, let's keep it 100. Vrabel benefited from a bad division and getting exposed now that the division has better talent and coaches. Vrabel is average at best strategically, which trickles down to his coordinator. Yep. Donzel says, my fear is Amy Adams is going to give Vrabel one more year. And it sounds like that's what's going to happen. And Morocco says, it's Vrabel meddling. Todd Down and Tim Kelly are past happy OCs. I agree. A lot of you saying Vrabel is to blame. Amy is a terrible owner. Now, Miss Jackie, I might disagree with you a little bit on that. She's fully been invested in the team. You want to talk about a terrible owner? Try Tommy Smith. He sucked. Amar says Vrabel and his horrible coaching staff needs to go. But the only problem is D. Mace said it best. Derek Mason said it earlier today. The national narrative is still that Mike Vrabel is a good coach. But until that narrative changes, Vrabel looks like a god in the national eyes. I think the majority of people want Vrabel out. And that's the problem. The problem is, I don't think Miss Amy wants him out. But Mike Vrabel lied, thinking that we could get to the playoffs and be a winning team, and we haven't done that. Back-to-back years of losing seasons. Any other head coach, like a Brandon Staley, would have been fired by now. Frank Reich didn't even get through his first season and got fired after losing to the Titans. New England, Bill Belichick, even though he cheated half the time, won them 6 Super Bowls. But because they've been struggling the last few years after Tom Brady, Robert Kraft is about to move on from somebody who has been known as the greatest coach of all time. Washington looks like they're going to move on from Ron Rivera. The NFL has figured out Vrabel's offense, throw it away, start over with a new head coach. I agree. And I see XD Gamer in here. Philip says, Eagles fired Peterson and he won them a Super Bowl, and they fired him. Brandon said 9-7. Well, we're not going to be 9-7. Best we could be is 8-9. It was extremely predictable. And not only that, you lost at home to a third-string quarterback with half their guys out in your Oiler uniforms. That should be extremely embarrassing for Amy Adams Strong. I don't know why they like Vrabel so much. I don't know. Luke, our resident Debbie Downer. Sorry, Luke, I'm just playing with you. Y'all might get mad, but I think Miss Amy Miss Amy thinks she's in love with Vrabel and he knows all the right things to say. Yep. Vrabel is not above reproach. Well, unfortunately, by the way it sounds, he might be. Because the fact of the matter is, you haven't heard anything about any firings, no changes, nothing. Which basically means, oh yeah, everything's fine. We're good with this. XD Gamer says, fire Tim Kelly. True, don't be dumb. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. If you fire Tim Kelly, all Mike Vrabel is going to do is promote somebody else from within, whether it be Charles London or Pat O'Hara. And they're going to be handcuffed too, and you're going to see the exact same thing next year. This is what I've been trying to tell y'all. This is why I say Rand needs to fire Vrabel now, go get his guy. Remember, Mike Mularkey got fired. He had back-to-back 9-7 seasons. Went from 3 to 9 wins, missed the playoffs by 1 game. The following year, made the playoffs, won a playoff game, and got fired. Because John Robinson did not want Mike Mularkey. And he wanted to go get his guy. He thought, Mike Vrabel is out there. He's my dude, my homie. I got to go get him before somebody else does. Because it was either going to be him or Josh McDaniels. He wanted one of his buddies. And John Robinson got his way. Ms. Amy didn't stop him. Yes, Mike Mularkey should have fired Terry Robisky, but I don't think that would have mattered because John Robinson wanted his guy. Why can't we do the same thing to Vrabel? And I honestly think it is going to be that same type of treatment. And the thing about it is, I think people say he might make changes in coordinators, but here's the problem. What's up, Samurai Jim? Welcome in. But here's the problem. Nothing is going to change while Mike Vrabel is head coach. Let me say that one more time for all you Vrabel apologists that want Tim Kelly fired, that want the offensive line coach fired, or want a better offensive line. Nothing is going to change until Mike Vrabel is fired. Because even if you fire Tim Kelly, all he's going to do is promote Charles London or Pat O'Hara, and they're going to run the same thing just like this year, and it's going to look exactly the same next year. The offensive line will look exactly the same as this year, if not worse. And then you would have stunted the growth of Will Levis for 2 years, and you will only have 2 years left. And in that third year, you're going to have to decide if you're going to pay him a boatload of money. You get rid of Vrabel now, get a new head coach in here to work with Levis, to kind of fit a system around Levis, build around him. Then you got next year, 24 and 25, before you decide if you got to pay him. Amar says, good coaches make adjustments, bad coaches keep running the same play, hoping it works. Or in Vrabel's words, till we can see if we can break one. Exactly. Good coaches know how to adjust for a bad offensive line. Somebody said it yesterday. Washington has a horrible offensive line, yet they can still score points. Jackie's saying Amy is letting this happen. Why is it that other teams can part ways with losing head coaches and she wants to hold on due to personal feelings? Agreed. A lot of owners and general managers think with their head. Miss Amy is thinking with her heart. And that's not good. And the thing about it is, again, as New Jersey Titan fans was talking about, yeah, You fired the offensive line coach and the coordinator last year. You got rid of the secondary coach, brought in another secondary coach. Secondary ain't much better. You keep firing coaches, you keep firing coordinators, bringing other coordinators in, making them do things under your system. When is Vrabel going to be held accountable? And I don't think any of y'all would do that. Yeah, we had a lot of those deficits, and we were almost at a tie. Sure were. Man, Al, what's up, fam? Rumor is Vrabel is out. I don't know where you're getting that from, but I hope so. Reggie B says Vrabel is not in that hot seat yet. He should be. Let's see. Man Hour says, question, does King Henry move on or retire after this year? I think he moves on. I think he might be moving on. I would love to see Derrick Henry come back one more year, break that all-time record. I would like to see that. But do the Titans feel that way? Malarkey, I am starting to have a much more appreciation for Mike Malarkey. I'm not going to lie to you. I am. He didn't want to get rid of Trubisky. Yep. Belichick finna get fired over things that happened over the last couple of years since Tom Brady's been gone. But yet, everybody thinks Vrabel is untouchable. You look on Twitter X, some of these fans, they will die for Mike Vrabel. And Pinball is right. Ooh, Pinball, thank you for making a point that I had thought about. Everybody keeps saying, well, you got to get more players. You got to get better players. Here's the problem. People have said if Mike Vrabel has a good roster around him, he is a good coach. Here's the thing. Every year, you're not going to always have the perfect roster. There are going to be times where you have injuries. There are going to be times where somebody struggles. A good coach will know how to get around that. Again, Brandon Staley had a good roster around him, and he couldn't win. Mike Vrabel inherited a good roster, and everybody wants to praise Vrabel when you win. Oh, yeah. We had an injury, and people don't want to blame Vrabel, want to blame the roster this year. Go back to 2021. Had the most injury-riddled team there was. 95 players, still got the number one seed. Everybody was kissing Vrabel's butt. And you're losing. Nobody wants to blame Vrabel at all. And I agree with Pinball. Even if Rand gets better players for Vrabel, I don't trust Vrabel to coach them up. 100% agree. As Zach Bingham would say, that is the love of this show. That is the best. I will say, everybody put in some good comments, but that is one of the best comments today. Run, pass. Yep. Get wide receivers. We're not going to throw to them. Yep. I mean, it is hard to watch. Everyone keeps praising Vrabel. Yep. And Vrabel, yeah, it did seem like he was okay with the tie. It did seem like that. Like, you know what, let's just go for the tie. And, of course, the missus reports in. You're fired. Nobody yet, unfortunately. Yep. You move Tony Dews from running back to tight end coach. How's that working out? Tony Dews is running back coach. Derrick Henry running for 2,000 yards. And Amar, yep, Vrabel loves a blocking receiver. That's all he wants. I love receivers that can block. It doesn't help. Do we have the worst coach in the division? Right now, yes. Yes. I agree. We do have the worst coach. So, again, for all of you Vrabel supporters out there, most like all-time rusher. Not sure why it's glitching, Ian. Thinks everything's okay on my end. Not sure. Reggie B says if Vrabel leaves, I do see it now a little bit. I do believe if Vrabel leaves, Henry might stay, but if Vrabel stays, Henry's out of here. Yeah. Are we good right now, y'all? Because I hear somebody else saying I'm freezing up. Not muted. Let me check and make sure. Looks like I got sound on my end. Everything seems good. Is everybody seeing me right now? Everything good? All right. But we're finna get ready to wrap this show up. Titans are 5-9, eliminated from the playoffs. Earliest that they've ever been eliminated in the Mike Vrabel era. Mike Vrabel, 5-16 in his last 21 games, 12-19 in the last 2 years, this season and last season. 3 games left to go. You got the Seahawks next week. Doesn't look good for that one either. Right now, Will Levis, high ankle sprain. Looks like it is a high ankle sprain for Will Levis. Yeah, it looks like according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, Will Levis dealing with a high ankle sprain. Still uncertain whether Tennessee needs to sit him or for how long, but a promising rookie campaign faces health challenge. I think they should sit him for the rest of the year. Blue 51-33. Remember what I said. It was dumb to win that game in Miami. Titans would have had a top 4 pick. I sure said that earlier. Messed them up. But Wednesday, we're going to try to get ready for the Seahawks. We're going to see what happens with Will Levis if he tries to practice. I don't think he should go. I think they should sit him for the rest of the year. Either let Tannehill or Malik Willis, and I'm leaning more towards Malik Willis. Let him get some snaps. And again, I love this team just as much as some of y'all do, if not more. I'm going to always cheer for the Titans. I just think I want better, and I think you should want better too. And not at least blaming the coach a little bit is fan malpractice. Because again, Mike Vrabel is running the show. Whether you want to admit that or not, Vrabel is overran. Rand is getting players for Mike. And Mike is running all of this because Amy gave him the power. So again, 5-9, we're out of the playoff hunt. Everybody else is 8-6, battling with each other. And failure starts at the top. You kill the brain, the rest of the body will die. And that is what's happening. Everybody was all feeling great after the Miami game. And now you had your hopes up. You got the team, Vrabel gave you false hopes just to tear you down. Something's got to change. And it needs to be at head coach. We need an offensive-minded head coach. Now, I know there's somebody out there that will say, well, Frank Reich's an offensive-minded head coach. He went to Carolina. They sucked. Frank Reich wasn't good in Indianapolis. Don't you remember we dominated him all those years? Yes, I get it. And I get it. You will probably say, well, DeMeco Ryans is a defensive-minded coach. He's doing good. Yes, this is his first year. And he has a good offensive coordinator, but he's about to face the same problem Vrabel is dealing with. That's happened to Vrabel. Bobby Slowick is going to be a head coach somewhere. Bobby Slowick is about to become a head coach. And that means DeMeco Ryans is going to have to keep hiring another offensive coordinator or promote from within. Then that guy might be good. He's going to be a head coach. And you're just going to have to keep continuing. I guarantee you C.J. Stroud is about to go through the same thing. But what do I know? I've only been watching football for 30 years, played football in junior high and high school. What do I know? So I'm going to save my shut your pie hole I'm going to save shut your pie hole for Wednesday because somebody deserves one. But I'm going to thank everybody for tuning in to TNT Postgame. Thank y'all for letting me talk your ears off. Again, definitely make sure y'all share this show out. Make sure y'all like this show. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. And to the channel. And I'm gonna get on out of here. And Blue says, Titan fans were looking to still win and try to make the playoffs. They love mediocrity. I am tired of being in the middle. Exactly. That's why a lot of fans seem to still want Mike Vrabel and are afraid to let Derrick Henry go because you're afraid of the unknown. A lot of people are afraid of the unknown. They would rather go with the devil you know than the devil you don't. And would rather stick with the status quo than trying something new. You know, walking into trying something different that you've never tried before because you're afraid it's going to suck too. Because you've had this mediocrity complex. You're used to it. And it's like that's the only thing right now you know in the last couple of years. So you figure this is the way it should be. So come back and join me on Wednesday as we will get ready and preview the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to have a good shut your pie hole for a certain former Texan fan that won't, certain Houston Texan that won't keep his mouth shut. Also, I haven't seen not one Titan fan come to the defense of Frank Reich and say he shouldn't be fired since he had a bad roster. Bang. I haven't seen a Colts fan come to his rescue. So, Ian, next live is on Wednesday. And so I thank all of y'all for tuning into the show. I'm your man, Chris, a.k.a. Blue Enforcer. Hope everybody has a good rest of your Monday. And I will see y'all on Wednesday as we get ready for the Seahawks. And as always, remember, tighten up because that's all we know how to do. Good night, y'all.